Hello. Welcome to my living room floor again. Why are you here instead of your normal spot? Because I like sitting on the floor and it just makes it easier for me to film videos. And I filmed a lot of videos the past couple weeks. So I don't want to set up my whole setup all the time and get the lamp on and get, the whole thing. Deal with it. I get like 7 views anyway, so you're not watching. We're going to be playing Overrated or Underrated. I'm going to ask Gemini AI from Google to give me like a list of like 10 overrated, underrated questions to ask in the powerlifting industry. We'll see if AI can do it. If they can, then we're going to just roll with it, and I'm going to tell you if it's overrated or underrated. Number 1, overrated or underrated. Deadlifts are the king of lifts. That's dumb. No, that's definitely, if people actually think that, that's overrated. Deadlift gets you the same amount as squats. If anything, squat is probably a cooler lift. Going down in the hole with like 500 plus pounds and getting out of that hole with 500 plus pounds is pretty sick. Overrated, underrated, body weight versus equipment. Body weight is overrated as hell. Body weight exercises most of the time suck. Unless it is like pull-ups are pretty cool body weight. Push-ups are okay if you do them correctly and get a big enough stretch. Air squats, most people are strong enough that they can't, get any kind of fatigue or actual like hypertrophy work from it. Most other bodyweight squats or bodyweight movements are kind of meh. There's some really, really cool ones like handstand push-ups and everything, but I think the barrier to entry for like calisthenics is also kind of weird because like, do you go to like a park and be around children, or do you just like, I don't know. Overrated, underrated, high reps compared to low reps. So the way that AI did this question was kind of weird. I'm going to say that a lot of people do low reps whenever it comes to powerlifting, and say that high reps are overrated. I don't know what I feel like a lot of people do low reps. So I'm going to say low reps is like the baseline, and doing only low reps is kind of overrated. Low reps in my mind is 5 or below. High reps is 5 or above. I know that 5's in there twice. I get that. But like most of the time 5 is considered low reps. You wouldn't be doing a bicep curl and do 5 and be like high rep, you know what I mean? So, and I think doing low reps is kind of overrated. Especially with accessory movements, you got to be like 10 to like 15, maybe even 20 on certain things like a bicep curl, lateral raise, a little bit more volume there. But for compound movements, I mean, working in that like 6 to 8 rep range is tough, but it's so good for hypertrophy and just kind of getting used to that movement over and over and over again, especially that movement while you're fatigued. I will say that it's kind of hard to judge like RPE at that point, but I still think that low reps are overrated. Supplements, they're overrated as hell, dude. I think now in like the TikTok era, whenever everyone has a QR code for anything, that's coming from someone who has like QR codes and discount codes for multiple businesses and brands. It's so overblown, the amount of like this supplement helps with this, like it's so much. Honestly, you don't need supplements. If you truly get your nutrition and your sleep and your hydration and your training in check, supplements are so secondary that it doesn't matter. But if all 4 of those things are in check, then you can start deciding what supplements you want. Creatine's number 1. And then everything else is like person to person based. What is your diet like? What is your sleep like? What is this like? And then you can talk more and more. But like supplements are so overblown. It's crazy. Overrated, underrated, genetics are the key to building muscle and strength. So this is a tough one because now it's kind of how I see it at least viewing the fitness industry, it kind of looks like if you're jacked as shit, everyone's going to say that genetics play a role. But if you're small as shit, it doesn't matter anyway because it's just your genetics. I think genetics play a huge role in the amount of muscle you can put on. But you don't know what your genetics are until you start trying to put on that muscle. So I feel like if you're one side of the coin and you think you have dog shit genetics, you're probably not going to train as hard and you're probably not going to try to get as big. On the other hand, if you just think you have good genetics, I think you're going to train harder and probably put on a little bit more muscle. Whether that's true or not, you don't know, right? Like I don't even know if you can go take like a test and be like, yeah, you got good genetics to build muscle. Like I don't think that's a thing. I think you just know once you like start trying. So if you never know, you never know what your genetics are. Just lift weights. So I don't really know how to answer this. Overrated, underrated, genetics play a key role in muscle building. It definitely does. But it seems like it's overrated by a big portion of smaller people and underrated by a big portion of bigger people. So just work hard, and then you'll see if you have genetics to put on muscle, because everyone can put on muscle no matter what. Overrated, underrated, powerlifting versus Olympic weightlifting. It's not even the same thing, so that's a dumb question from AI. But yeah, I mean, like it's whichever one you want to do. Olympic weightlifting is more technical with the squat or with the clean and like clean and jerk and snatch and everything. Powerlifting gets very technical, but it is not anywhere close to Olympic weightlifting. Olympic weightlifting is super, super cool, and I would love to try it one day. Overrated, underrated, heavy lifting comes before technique. Overrated, underrated. That's underrated. You shouldn't be able to lift heavy until you have a foundation of good technique. And that's what everyone should be building in the gym first before they try to go crazy with like strength or anything, is building a foundation of the fundamentals form and getting very, very technical with every single lift, to the point that then you can start to add load. And then it's also a lot easier because you're not working on form while trying to get stronger. You work on one and then the other and build it up from there. Overrated, underrated, sumo deadlift. The hate on sumo deadlift is overrated as fuck. What I find is people who say that sumo is cheating don't have a good sumo deadlift and can't do it themselves, and then are jealous whenever someone switches to sumo and builds weight or builds strength. I can tell you this, I just hit 415 pounds for 5 reps sumo. I could do 415 pounds for 5 reps conventional. It doesn't change anything. I think it's just a little bit easier for me to get my hips all the way through and use more of my legs, but I can just use more of my glutes if I need to during the conventional deadlift. I'm gonna prove this. I'm gonna prove this next peak. I'll figure something out to do the same thing back to back. Do conventional and then do sumo, to prove that it is not hard to do both. Overrated, underrated, powerlifting meets versus home gym training. It's not even the same thing. This used to be a popular thing in like coaching, would be a mock meet at like your gym. Don't do that. It sucks. Powerlifting meets go so well for athletes because it's the powerlifting meet. And there's adrenaline and there's kind of a aura that's there, as opposed to your home gym is just like your home gym and there's nothing riding on it. Like you don't see other people lifting. You're not like in the back room warming up with everyone. Just a different thing. So home, like if that's the question, powerlifting meet versus like mock meet at your gym, mock meets are overrated. I don't even care if they're properly rated now. Like no one does them. It's still overrated. Don't ever do that. Just go and do something. Overrated or underrated, strength work is more important than hypertrophy work. in powerlifting? Depends on what block you're in. So, like, I'm going through a hypertrophy style strength block, so we're putting on both. And that just means my compounds are like sets of 5s to 6s, and then my accessories are sets of 10s to 20s. We're building on putting on muscle and size and strength at the same time. So it's like depending on now, like year round, no, you need to be hypertrophy and strength training. Near a powerlifting competition, fuck hypertrophy, just do strength. If you're like a year away from a powerlifting competition, fuck strength training, go into hypertrophy work and get jacked so you have more muscle to push more weight. That's all. That's it. I'll probably do another one of these whenever I actually come up with ideas to generate overrated, underrated things. For right now, though, you get the janky Gemini version. And that is the video. This was a short one. Very nice. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Hopefully this was fun. And I will see you all in the next one. Thank you all so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Peace.